the show. Mr. Sumit Peer is going to begin this conversation with me. Sumit, it's startling to see that even a preliminary report is being made to sound conclusive in this case, completely putting this on the pilot. And is it believable, Sumit, that they're saying that the pilot is confused? Who would not be worried or aghast at the fact that they're about to crash? And not a word, that perhaps there was a mechanical failure, there was a software mess up, and Boeing could be responsible for it. What do you make of what's happened today and how the Western media has responded? In fact, I was watching some of these interviews, Sumit. They have not even talked about how the second pilot responded when he said, "I have not cut it off." They have just said that the first pilot said, the engines are not getting fuel.
Vinny, thank you for having me on your show. Very important discussion and a good question to begin with. Look, it's a very clear-cut thing. What looks to me, prima facie, I'm not an aviation expert, there the fuel did not go to the engines. But pilots could have not stopped the fuel going to engines because next thing which was looking or which was what they were glaring at is a immediate and an imminent death. What unfortunately happened in this case. Who would want to die by cutting a fuel to the engine and watch himself die, his life and his everything, getting burned down in front of his? Nobody wants to kill there. We are talking of respected and honorable pilots here. We are not talking of jihadis or fidaiin here. That is the message which was
as
very...
well. And the supply and the ignition buttons, the engine buttons were turned on again, Sumit, within a few seconds. Don't you think that the pilot would have raised an alarm or said something to that effect to the other pilot, that why are you switching them on earlier? You just said you switched them off. The common sense has not been applied here.
Correct, Vinny. The issue is that what looks to me that there are 5-6 aspects here. They easily have understood or they have got a good glimpse that it is an equipment failure. And when it comes of the equipment failure, you talk of the big American tech, you talk of Boeing. So what is the easiest way to get the big tech, which is not only Boeing, all the people who supply them the softwares, those gears or accessories, and how to get the American tech out of it, how to get, the insurance covered. You want to put everything and anything to a pilot, make it as a mechanical, make it as a human error. Unfortunately, both of the pilots are not with us. Om Shanti, they have passed away. And now exactly blame the Indian system, blame the Indian administration, blame the Indian training, blame everything on Indians. So you're outsourcing your problem to somebody who is not there to plead your case. And by this way, you're humiliating India, you're questioning India's safety standards, you're questioning India's procedures. How do we train our pilots and what kind of safeties does our airlines have? And let me remind them, when Pakistan was banned from entering, Pakistani pilots were banned from entering, Europe because 80% of them used to print their certificate or the flying license in their home using a simple printer. Those might happen in Pakistan. Look at the number of planes which go up in air in India. If there is something wrong with our pilots or our things, it would have happened every day. Now, if you look at the conversation which happened, obviously they were one after another failures, and the guys were trying to talk to each other because these people don't seem to understand one thing, because while they are talking to each other, they just have maybe 30-40 seconds before there's an imminent death. Who would want to play with it death? Because even we have lost our people, we have lost our planes, your equipment has likely, in my opinion, failed. Your software glitches were there. What you are trying to do, you are just trying to whitewash your crimes and trying to put it on the Indian pilots and blame it on the India, and you forget those 279 people or 280 people which possibly lost their lives, including those pilots. Why should somebody want himself to be killed? Why should somebody do it for himself? These are the questions what these so-called media outlets should be asked, because I see it, Vinny, because Boeing is going through a very bad patch, and with the Dreamliner and these fiascos happening up, because this fiasco is an short death. If the plane is in air, even if you lose fuel going to the engines, it's a matter of time. It might be 1 minute more. That's the only difference what it can have. Now, to control that, these people have all got together, and what they are blaming is the Indian system, Indian aviation, Indian safety, Indian authorities, and the Indian pilots. But what they are not blaming is the Boeing. They are not blaming is the system, is the software, is the glitches, is that erratic behavior of the Dreamliner. They are not blaming that, and it is on record that Boeing has a lot of problems. Boeing had a lot of problems. Boeing had to be in a rough patch because of all these problems, and there were quite a few accidents which happened in the world according to that. The problem here is that it is easy to have these half-baked reports. It's easy to cast aspersions. But having said that, you might kind of win a media award today, but people will start asking questions: what is wrong with Boeing? people will start asking questions why these software switches are not working, how switches are flipping, flopping, why should even a pilot be able to cut fuel to the engine on his discretion? Where are your safety mechanisms? Is there a code? Is there approval? I mean, nothing like that is there. It means there's a systematic failure, equipment is failed. Now, to cover that, you are trying to put everything on the other side so that people will start confusing between the pilots, their safety, their training, their quality, everything. And the main issues can be sidetracks, main issues can be pushed beyond the carpet. How does a foreign publication know when we have not concluded upon our reports that Indian pilots were confused? It is because of their pilots, and it is because Indian pilots were confused this happened. These people have sold their soul to the devil. Unfortunately, the people whom you are talking about, they are no more there. They are passed away. You are trying to put people who are dead, you are trying to sell literally, Hindi mein kehte hain na, maut ke saudagar. Exactly, you are trying to do that. You are insensitive to the number of deaths we have. You are insensitive to the number of people who lost their lives. You are insensitive to the people who were in that plane, including our ex-chief, Mr. Vijay Rupani ji. So you're not only insulting India, you're putting that salt on the injury. That is exactly what you are going to do. This by casting those half-baked reports and try to have the perceptions around the whole world. It's India, their systems, and everything about India is wrong. This is what your perennial habit has been. But did you have a conclusive report? Why can't you question Boeing? Why are you scared to even mention Boeing? These are the questions that should be asked to them beneath. This media bashing is not going to work. You might win a battle. You will definitely lose the war.